Have you ever wondered what goes on behind the scenes of a thriving business? How do companies streamline their processes and maximize efficiencies and drive growth? Welcome to Optimized Business Systems, the place where we explore the inner workings of successful businesses. And I'm your host, Willie Schmidt. Today, we're joined by Hector Alvarado. He is an expert in business operations who will share insights into the world of operation management and provide actionable tips for maximizing your business. Welcome, Hector.
Thanks, Willie. Thanks for having me.
Very good.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a bit about your background and how you became the expert in business operations?
Yeah, absolutely. So I've been in operations for nearly 30 years.
Wow.
My career started with PepsiCo, learning the ins and outs about how to lean out businesses and how to really get to the bottom line of impact when it comes to an operations team. The key things that I learned at Pepsi were around team building, team culture, and constant monitoring and improvement. That was one of their big models. And from there, I was able to expand my career working with larger groups within logistics in the local Vancouver market. And then I was very fortunate to move to Grand Prairie, where I had an opportunity to meet you
Yeah.
and work along your side and build an amazing team at Willie's Trucking, and really had a success story there that we can all feel proud about.
Absolutely.
That was an amazing journey. And since then, I have carved out a niche in coaching and learning operations from service businesses as I continue to lead also a team in the oil field and gas sector.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah. And through my experiences in operations, I would say that the key things about an ops team is ensuring that you have the right people. That is step one. And once you have the right people, you can set the right culture, and that right culture will fit into the right processes, which will enable a flywheel motion of right people reviewing activity, improving on output, and then it continues. And that's some of my strategy.
As you can hear already, he's already getting into it here, what I like so much, because I have learned so much from you coming into our operation. And that's why I'm so excited about what we're doing here today.
Excellent.
And so the next question, what sparked your interest in operation management and what keeps you passionate about it?
Yeah, for me, it started, I would say, as a young teenager. There's always something in me that always wanted to fix broken things, whether it was like a sports team that I played with. And I found that we weren't underperforming. And so I always felt like I wanted to be a leader in that sports team, but I wasn't always the best athlete in the team. But I learned how to motivate and how to fix the team and the output by engaging the team. So that's how it started. And then as I progressed and got to learn the business world, I learned how impactful and gratifying it can be when you have those successes. And I always enjoyed being in the back of the room and leading from the back and absorbing what was happening, understanding what made things tick. And so that's where I maintained engaged through it. Today, what keeps me engaged is the development of people and the opportunity to work with entrepreneurs, work with businesses that are struggling, share my passion, share my experience, and now watch those businesses become super successful. That's what keeps me now engaged.
Very nice. And so we'll shift into operation management insights. So how do you define business operations and what are the key components that make up this function?
Yeah, business operations, I would call it the heart of the body of the business. It's pumping out the blood. It's what makes things tick. In most operations, when done, it's when you're going to ensure that your business flows correctly. You're going to be the group of what I would call the organizers and the doers. That's what I see as the operations team. Yeah.
And what are some common pain points or challenges that businesses face when it comes to operation management?
Oh man, there's so many. Oh, but the most common one is lack of structure.
Sure.
I think if we go back to your previous question and you asked what's one key learning and what's one key tip,
Yeah.
it would be about making sure that you structure your business the right way. A lot of people say, this is my ops person. Okay, what kind of background do they have? Do they understand the intricacies of measuring, having the right tools, the right development within the structure of the organization for training? And do they have the right check-in and feedback points to ensure that the quality of the work being done is constantly improved? So that's one of the things that I see in organizations that they lack. They don't have the structure to be able to say, this is how my ops team is going to do things. And this is what they're going to be measured against.
Yeah.
I see it in many businesses where they believe an ops team is a function or an afterthought outside of sales
Yeah.
because they're very driven on the revenue line.
Yeah.
And you see everybody think about that, right?
Yeah.
You're like top heavy. Everybody's thinking, how much money are you selling?
Yeah.
How much money are you making?
Sure. Yeah. And that's the one thing that I have, when you came into our business, that I learned about was the data, that you wanted to know all the measurements that we were measuring against and how we can set that up.
Yeah.
So we could manage our business based on data. And the things that you were at that time even looking at doing, I thought, how can we even track that? But you found a way to track everything in our operations.
It's an integral part of the structure.
Yeah.
What we find is that if we don't measure it, we can't tell ourselves that we're doing well. And therefore, how do we know if we're improving?
Yeah.
I always see it, again, a lot of businesses are so top heavy and top revenue driven that they forget how much money they're losing on the little things. A simple check-in on fuel consumption, as in the trucking world, you would learn that if you're not judging your routes correctly, you're losing out on potentially hundreds of thousands of dollars on fuel consumption because you're routing wrong or because you're letting your team idle, or as simple as, hey, we're not buying fuel at the right station.
I know.
Right. And so those are the type of things that without measuring, you wouldn't know. So those are some of the key things for me, having your system in place that allows you to track and improve. So it's not just about tracking. Tracking step one, but then what do you do with the data?
Exactly. That's a whole nother thing.
Yeah.
And then start making changes, small changes that you can't change everything overnight, right?
No, not at all. Not at all. The thing about data that I always say that I find intriguing is that data is leveraged to power, because knowledge is power. So the moment that you have the information, now you're empowered to act. And you are either going to act to improve or you're going to act to do nothing, which will not improve.
Exactly. Wow. And so how do you approach process optimization, and what tools or methodologies do you use?
Yeah, my methodology is around continuous improvement. That's the baseline of a continuous improvement and lean principles. Those two combined allow me to have an observation of a business in sort of an audit process internally in my head. And these are some of the tools that I teach my coworkers and my teammates on how to identify the gaps in the businesses. But the tools that I normally use would be around data and ensuring that we're structured to analyze and review. And then from a best practice standpoint is about team building, ensuring that the team really gets that data information and that they can start to process it and act on it.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Can you also share an example of a successful operation management project you've led, and what were some of the key takeaways?
Oh man, I could share a lot, but I think let's talk a little bit about the experience we had at Willys.
Sure.
We could talk about the operations gaps that we had and all the money that we were losing.
Absolutely.
Those some tough ones, but I think the collective approach that we saw from an operations standpoint was we decided to go lean. You as the owner said, hey guys, like this money that we're spending in overhead is not going to work. How do we lean out? What can we do that will ensure we don't miss out on service, but that we stay focused on our costs.
Yeah.
And so we structured it up from the top down. So from the management level, who could do more, who could take on more tasks. And then we started to really systemize those tasks.
Yeah.
Once we had identified that we had our team together, then it became about process to ensure that we could still provide service. So we created checks and balances around our total output, which was our service. So we looked at our on-time delivery. And how did we improve that? Why should we improve on-time delivery? That became a selling point for excellence in our space when we can say that this is how we're doing it.
Yeah.
Collectively, upon that, we looked at an operational KPI, which is the 100th weight measurement in that world.
Yeah.
And that meant we needed to look at how much does it cost us per 100 pounds to deliver this freight.
Yeah.
And the goal was obviously to ensure that we did it for the least amount of cost.
Yeah.
So optimizing our routing became key, utilizing some testing of our tools and ensuring that our tools were tested to allow us to plan, always planning, ensuring that we had, all right, how many routes do we have here? Do we have enough density within our routes? Do our people understand how to route? And then do our drivers know what they need to do?
Thanks.
Right? It was about coaching them too, because a lot of them didn't understand. To them as hourly paid employees, they're going to get paid their wage regardless.
Yes.
So we needed to motivate them on the wins, on why it was important.
Why it was important. Exactly that.
Yeah.
And yeah, just thinking of it, it sounds complicated, but man, was it worth it going through this, because I believe that was one thing that saved my business. And structuring it and finding those things where we were so inefficient with.
Yeah. It was really neat to see it. And you know what? We obviously had tons of people that helped collaborate and help put this together.
Yeah.
But it was awesome in the sense that there was ownership at every level, from the top to the driver. Everybody knew what they were accountable for and what their number was to go and get that result. From the driver's standpoint, that 100th weight became everything.
Exactly.
It was like, why? Why are we not hitting this? What's preventing it?
Yeah.
And then on top of that, the next layer up, the dispatcher was 100th weight and service. What's the on-time delivery?
Yeah.
And then layer up on top of that was what we just mentioned, but now what's the overall cost?
Yeah.
What's the overall service? What's the overall safety? So everybody had responsibility and accountability, and they knew what their roles were. And so as we structure an operations team, it's critical that they understand their accountability and their output.
So good. Brings me back to those days.
Yeah, but it was a success story, right?
Yeah.
When we think back about it, how much it was losing sleep for you and your family and all of us, because we felt it. I certainly, I remember looking, I've said this to you before, I remember looking at that first P&L report.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah.
That was a scary one.
We needed to do something differently. That we knew all. And this goes back to 2018, where we lost so much money. And honestly, some days I was thinking like, man, I think we've already failed, but we're just on our last pulse here. And then we turned it around. And I say it was the team, and Hector helped us so much with it. Yeah. Just amazing what we were able to do there as a team.
Yeah, I know it was great. Again, from an operations standpoint, we leaned out, we systemized, and then we executed.
Exactly.
That was as simple as you could do. Is you understand your business team, and then you create your rules, and now it's accountability. Go get it done. And in the past, that wasn't in place. It was a lot of internal headbutting. It was a lot of internal finger pointing and a lot of very little accountability.
Exactly.
So when we removed those things, it gave us the runway to get these things done.
Yep.
Yeah.
So shifting to strategy and leadership.
Yeah.
How do you think business operations should be aligned with overall business strategy?
Strategy has to be aligned from a sense of output, right? If your organization has goals to grow a certain amount per year, then your operational structure has to be built to support that growth.
Yeah.
and to grow it correctly. So from an ops team, it has to be aligned with what you have from the sales expectations, but also what you have from the finance department expectations. If the ops team is not, the sales team will not get their goals met. And so it's important that those two teams work hand in hand. And then the collaboration with finance to support that the financial goals are being met, right?
That's right.
So for me, when I see this as a best practice to a new company or even like an existing company that's struggling, I would say the best thing to do, align your ops team, ensure that they understand their output, they understand their goals.
Yeah.
It's not as easy to say, hey, go make sure this is delivered. That's not enough because go make sure it gets delivered only will get it delivered. Like this package will get delivered or that load will get delivered or that grass will get cut or that HVAC guy is going to go and repair that furnace. That's not enough. You have to go and say, hey, we have to go get this delivered at the right time for the right price, which means this is your metric per hour, your revenue per hour metric that we need you to give us back.
Yeah.
That's what the alignment means between these departments, right? And a lot of businesses, what I see in my experience is they're lacking that. They're lacking the fundamental output.
Yeah. It makes sense to be aligned in between the departments.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah. What role do you believe operation managers play in driving business growth and innovation?
I think it's critical. The business management team, again, like I've said, is the department is the heart of the business body.
Yeah.
And so if you don't keep that body, that heart healthy and ready for the waves that will come of challenges, it will crash. And so being innovative, being in the forefront, looking at tools, looking at whether that is internal tools that you can develop or external tools that you can bring in. And in today's world, that's ensuring that your staff and team are properly coached, that they have the right mentorship, that they have access to what is happening in their space that will make them ideally the best in their space. And that's leveraging technology like AI. It's leveraging peer networking, hanging around with peers in their space that will give them best practices. So for me, from an innovative standpoint, it's staying and adapting with what's happening in your space.
And how do you foster a culture of continued improvement within the organization?
Yeah, that is the critical piece with fostering a culture has always been about ensuring that you have check-in points. Continuous improvement in itself says we're going to get better today than we were yesterday.
Yeah.
But if you have a team that is good with this is how we've always done it, or this is the status quo.
I can relate to that.
If you've got a team like that, then I can tell you that's not continuous improvement. What you want to hear from your team is, man, how do we do it better?
Yeah.
How can we do more? And engaging them in those type of conversations and culture is always done through internal mentoring, internal coaching, and then internal rewarding.
Yeah.
Those are the ways that I look at it. So coaching, mentoring, rewarding.
Very nice.
And then you will get continuous improvement. You'll get coaching when you're reviewing the output. Hey, that was a really good job, Willie, the way you did that job. Or we need to talk about how that went wrong. That's coaching.
Yeah.
Mentoring is identifying those key performers, those really good superstars, the guys that have the great attitude, that lady that is always willing to help out, like those key individuals. And when you identify them, you mentor them, you level them up.
Yeah.
And that is where we start to talk about delegating to them. And once you mentor them, they'll be ready to help be a catalyst internally for more of that culture. So it's not just you, it is everybody. It's everybody doing it.
Yeah.
And then it's the output. Then it's the results. Yeah. That's how you foster a culture of CI, or continuous improvement.
Very good. Yeah. What advice would you give to business leaders looking to improve their operation management capabilities?
Yeah. My biggest advice to business owners and leaders is don't wait.
Don't wait.
Don't wait.
I like that.
I hear many reasons, and I call them reasons to not call them excuses, but many reasons to why people need to wait.
Mm,
They're like, it's not the right time. That person's been here too long.
mm.
That process won't work. And that was something that I always enjoyed about working with you. I always said, Willie moves at a speed unlike anybody else.
Okay.
And I think it's amazing that you have that skill set. And if you're a business owner or business leader today, if you're looking to not to fail, your lack of action will enable you to fail. It will ensure that you
Yeah.
fail. So don't wait is my advice.
Very good. So, a little bit about trends and innovation. What emerging trends or technology do you see having the biggest impact on business operation in the next 5 to 10 years?
Yeah, without question, the biggest one is AI innovation. I think that is going to be a game changer within the operations teams across any industry. And I would encourage those businesses that are starting to get into their space and that are experts in their space today,
Yeah.
learn about AI, learn how it's going to help lean out your business in a good format, in a good way.
Yeah.
It's going to help you lean out in internal processes and action
Yeah.
internally, because I think that's the wave that's going to come next. And we're going to see some major growth in operational sectors of those that use AI.
Okay. Wow. And how do you think the artificial intelligence, automation, or other technology will change the face of operation management? What is something?
Yeah, when I see, I was just putting it in my world today. I see this as helping internal dispatchers make better decisions when planning out routes, right? As we look at it in the oil and gas sector, in the trucking and oil and gas sector, we lose a lot of money by deadhead miles or empty miles, as known in the industry.
Yeah.
And because you've got individuals driving with no load on.
Yeah.
And so if we can optimize our dispatching using AI, that AI will enable us to know when a driver will be finished their load and available, we can redirect that available driver and unit to drive a shorter distance versus somebody from out of another area coming there. Yeah.
And so basically real-time information for whoever department or whatever department needs to know at this exact time.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Real time at your fingertip information. Again, that knowledge to empower individuals to make better decisions. Today, we have a lot of guessing game, right? It's I think this will happen. I think this person will do that. What I see with the use of AI is that AI will start to enable habits and consistencies within certain applications to the point that they'll say in our space, again, in the trucking world, they'll say driver Bob has a tendency to start every day at this.
Yeah.
He drives at this speed. He takes a break at this time that lasts this long. So it'll plan a consistent route based on driver behavior, not on guessing, not on like, it should take 8 hours. No, we know Bob does it in 6 because Bob does all of this every single day, every time he works. This is his consistent mannerisms. And so AI will be a tool that will allow in our industry to plan that way.
And get more efficient with it.
Totally get more efficient with it. And then the same in the field, if you start to think about it, right? Whether you're in construction or you're in landscape or you're in any operations, warehouse distribution, the consistent traits of what the individuals do, the mannerisms, all of that will get learned and applied by AI that will gain you some efficiencies.
What are some simple, actionable steps that business owners or operations can take to improve their operation management capabilities?
Yeah, the very first one, if you don't and aren't doing this today, create a scorecard. Understand how you're producing, how you're measuring your team. That is step one. And it doesn't have to be a very elaborate scorecard. It's just 3 to 5 key indicators that are going to allow you to know if you're winning or if you're losing.
Yeah.
That would be the first one. That's my first key. The second one would be implement a check-in point. I like to call them huddles, but it's essentially a daily check-in to where you review your scorecard and you hold your team accountable to the results of that scorecard. So those would be if you're not doing anything at all today in an operations settings or as a business, start those two things and you will see the results will start to improve and climb.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Every business I'm involved with, we have a weekly scorecard at the minimum.
Yes.
And so we figure out what are the key numbers that are important to us on a weekly basis that we want to track. And so we at least get a picture once a week where we're at. But like you said, operation, like you implemented at Willie's, was a daily 11 a.m. call
Right.
in the operation, and everyone had to report their numbers.
That's right.
At the management level. So
Yeah.
What a change that was.
What did you think of it when we first implemented it?
I thought it was overkill at first.
That's right.
Thinking, man, are we going to spend so much time on, or how much time are we going to waste on this?
Yes.
That's, I think, what most business owners sometimes think.
Absolutely. I'm glad you touched on that.
Yeah. And then I can tell you where it was not like in 1 hour call. It was a quick 15-minute check.
That's right.
And it just brought everyone together and made sure we were all on the same page for the day.
That's it. That's it.
Yeah. And what a difference that made.
It's awesome that you mentioned it, because even today, when I try to implement it with other organizations, the first pushback that I get, whether it's the owner or the ops person, they're like, but that's going to draw everybody away from the work. That's a lot of money spent on this activity.
Yeah.
And I always tell them, you're right, like 15 minutes times the individuals that are going to be present.
Yeah.
It's an investment in your business. Think of it as an investment, because if you don't do this, guess when you're going to find out your results? And they all stop and think about it, right?
Yeah.
And they're like, oh yeah, we're not going to find out until the job is done, or the invoice comes out, or the P&L result comes out.
Yeah.
I'm like, and do you have an opportunity to correct at that point? And 100%,
It's too late.
it's too late.
Yep.
So if you have an opportunity to do it before it gets out of hand.
Yeah.
So a daily check-in for 15 minutes. Are we on track? Are we not? Why not?
Yeah.
What can we do differently today and tomorrow? And it enables now people to think and plan, which is what I really use the tool for.
Yeah.
And most people don't see it that way. They're like, oh, I'm here because I'm going to get in trouble if the result is not good. That's not true.
No, not at all. It's just, we all need to work together on if something isn't lining up. So how can we fix it?
That's exactly it, right? It's understanding, where is it broken?
Yeah.
And if it is, okay,
Yeah.
how do we fix it for tomorrow?
Yeah.
That was all. And then once you see it, it works.
And now looking back, like, it's almost this little secret we had at Willie's Trucking, how we could deliver freight on time. It was, they had to report, did all our freight get delivered on time,
Yeah.
and did it end up in the right branches?
Yeah.
So no misships.
That's right.
Yeah. What is another thing we tried?
No damages.
No damages. That's why we had this damage guarantee.
That's right.
Free damage guarantee.
Yeah, that's right. Only
Policy.
one.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
Yeah. It
Yeah.
was so good. No, it's
So, what are some common mistakes or pitfalls that businesses should avoid when it comes to operations management?
yeah, I think the most important one that I see is an afterthought. Again, a lot of organizations put a lot of focus on sales and sales activity,
Yeah.
and they forget about the power of a lean operations. And I always say one operational dollar equates 3 to 5 revenue dollars.
Wow.
So if you can save one operations dollar,
Yep.
that's how much more revenue you would need to make to offset it.
Yep.
So do not forget about the value that your operations team has. And so before you go chase that big contract, understand the ins and outs of your operations team. What are they capable of? What can they handle? What can they evolve to become to be able to take on the big project? Because a new ops team or a learning or developing team may not have the experience. And this is what happens is a lot of businesses say, we'll figure it out. We'll go get more business and we'll figure it out. We'll go figure it out. go get another contract, another big one, and another big one. And that ops team doesn't have the fundamentals and the foundation. So it cracks. And now you've got all this revenue coming in, but it's going right out the back door.
Yeah.
I say if your fundamentals and your ops team are not solid,
Yeah.
you can go chase it and upsell and do all that stuff. It's never gonna fix your bottom line. You can't outsell bad performance. So my guidance to anybody that's starting a business or is in business, go look at your ops team. Go make sure that they're optimized.
Yeah.
Go implement continuous improvement protocols, Lean Six Sigma protocols, EOS protocols. Go do those things that are going to make them fundamentally ready for the growth that the organization is looking to have.
Can't agree more. Yeah. For all the questions I've drilled you, anything else that you would like to share or that I've missed?
Yeah, no, I think from an operations standpoint, what I think is important is collaboration. I think the one thing that most people and most organizations tend to not to think about is that the team generally is made up and should be made up of problem solvers. When putting together your ops team, you want to look for those individuals that are not complainers about hard tasks. Those generally are not your ops people.
I know that one thing, you're not afraid of hard tasks.
I think when you look at individuals in that space, you have to have that go-getter attitude and the willingness to do the hard work. So ensure that your ops people know that, but then they also need that collaboration with the other departments. So they have to work well with sales. And the way you're going to do that is by making sure that they are understanding of the sales goals and the other departmental goals. So again, collaboration is a big one I think that we need to talk about and just touch on, because we've seen it. When there is not collaboration, then you get internal bickering. And that can create internal chaos. And again, it's not a healthy spot, right? So, making sure that the collaboration piece is always healthy is critical. And that was something that you did really well. You always were able to point out, hey, like these personalities, this is something that we need to be ahead of. You know, this is the style that we need to manage this department. And that allows for some of that. So an ops team is only as good as the collaboration and the setup around it.
And what would you say if someone listened to this and thinking, man, I need to structure my operations, and where would they start? Or where do you start?
I would say that if you really want to learn and how to run a really lean and optimized operational business, you need to plug in here with us. I think the tools that we're about to share with the community is going to be like mind blowing, especially if you're finding that you're struggling today. You don't know why you're struggling, right? You're thinking you're selling, you're healthy, you've got the right head count, you think you've got the right people, but yet your business is not moving. And we're going to be able to provide entrepreneurs and leaders with these tools that will make it easy to identify, but more importantly, easy to implement. Because like any book, you can pick up any book and they'll tell you theories, but theories are only theories and they're only as good as how you interpret them. It's about the application. And so I think if you really want to learn application, come hang out with us and then you'll be able to learn more about the practicality of them.
No, and this is why I am so excited what we're planning to do here, all the tools that we're planning to bring to entrepreneurs and businesses. Thanks for tuning in. And I just want to say, if you feel like you wanted to learn more about the tools you can implement into your business, feel free to follow us. And we're looking forward to inviting you into our community where we're actually just now building a platform where we're going to have this available soon for people to come in, and we're going to do a whole lot more around teaching different strategies and not just operations.
That's right.
All areas of business.
The full scope of business best practices and tool sharing from your innovative sales techniques, marketing techniques, and overall setting the right culture, like all of that, and operations, systemizing,
Yeah.
We're going to be able to help entrepreneurs really overcome the many challenges. And everybody goes through different challenges, right?
Yeah.
Some people just don't know how to sell, how to get momentum, and that's the point. And so we'll be able to help them with that.
Yeah.
A lot of entrepreneurs struggle with people management. They don't know how to manage people, how to motivate them.
That's the number one thing I keep hearing. How to
Right.
manage people.
Yeah.
But it's not really managing people the way I see it now. It's managing your data and
That's right.
having the right structure, the right people in place for managing that.
That's right. It's important to know, like, having the right people in place in your business will just multiply X your culture, and it'll create a healthy culture with the right output. And so people always struggle. How do I manage it? Do I do more reward recognition days? Do I do more pizza days? Or
Yeah.
I've done enough of these and I'm giving them gift cards and I'm
Yeah.
doing all that, but it's not doing anything. That's because your people are motivated by different things. You just haven't learned
Yeah.
to create the right structure to motivate them. And it could be
Yeah.
you have the wrong people.
Very good. As you can hear, we could keep going.
Yeah.
here, But thank you so much
Yeah.
for coming all the way here to my office.
Absolutely. What a beautiful office you have here. This is amazing.
Record this and
Yeah.
looking forward to this.
Yes, it'll be fun. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you for watching, and we're looking forward to meeting you one day.